So not your usual stream today, just something brief. I look like shit, I feel like shit, but this came across my my point of view, whatever you want to call it. I'm tired. It's early, um, and I wanted to. I was really supposed to go to the gym today, and I didn't, so I'm gonna do that either later this evening or tomorrow on my cardio day. Usually, I don't. I think I'm gonna do later this evening. I really need to get on track. But anyway, uh, I really want to see what this is about, and I'm tempted to just watch it, but I want my unabashed. Is that even a word? I use it all the time, but I want my raw experience. So let's get into it. I'm deciding to use this to protect my identity. Don't want the UK. No, it's mostly just because I don't want autofill shit coming in. Uh, so basically, my understanding is this is a game to help kids navigate the internet better. Um, from what I'm gathering, this should be no different than what I grew up on when they were telling you, um, hey, so, internet safety as a kid. This seems supposed to be the same purpose. Let's full screen this. Oh shoot, I'm gonna have to fix that, aren't I? Bear with me here for a sec. If I full screen it, it should make it. And if I unfull screen it, perfect. That'll do. I need to go into game though and fix where the browser is, because I just want it to look nice. Just want everything to look nice and pretty, man. Pretty, pretty, pretty. There we go. Pretty, pretty, pretty. Anyway, so so my when I was growing up, you had these classes in school. Not even classes, really. They were just like presentations that were done for a class, and it was how do you deal with somebody who you don't know talking to you on the internet? How do you deal with uh, rogue links? I mean, that wasn't really much. It was mostly dealing with people, not malware, but there was some of that in there. It was mostly about um, net safety. Don't tell them your identity, and that's what I'm expecting here. I'll be well, I shouldn't say that's what I'm expecting. That's what should be here. You want to update it to include avoiding falling into pit traps? Sure. Something tells me this is going to be horrible net safety advice and uh, really bad. But I'm I choose to believe. Or what is it? The old UFO thing? I want to believe. So one, yeah, I already know this. That require you to take action. You don't have to take action, or maybe they consider doing nothing as an action. But I don't like that verbology, verbiage, whatever you want to call it. I'm full of nonsensical words this morning. See your mouse to select based on the information given and what outcome you think this will have. See, here's the problem though. You say root, and I already have a feeling I know where this is going. I'm gonna wait. I'm not gonna jump to conclusions here. So I'm a man. Don't know why. For all our focus on diversity, we only have two white characters in a binary, but whatever. I don't really give a shit. That's nitpicking. It is funny though. Play some Minecraft, or is this Terraria because it's 2D? Okay, so he's a college student. I, you know, the British really need to fix their English. Had not long started. You know, it's just weird. Oh, we're they. Okay. Well, I guess it's because you don't know which one the person picked. That would take too much effort. Try to start browsing new games and websites. Like clown emojis and fire. Yeah, I'm pretty scared of emojis too, kid. That's a slur. Why can't I download the video? Let me download the video. Oh, I need to actually turn on my. I want you guys to see my capture the cur. Oh no. Okay, so that fucked it up. I want you guys to be able to see my cursor. Oh shoot, you guys can't hear the bit. There's audio with this. I'm sorry. Can you guys see my cursor? I gotta turn it off studio mode because I can't see shit. You can't see my. There we go. Let me download the video, please.
Someone on this website has encouraged
just...
Charlie to download a video, but Charlie is unsure.
Okay, yeah.
How should Charlie react?
So, this isn't 2002. You've got Windows Defender. Downloading the video won't hurt.
Charlie wanted to continue being part of their new online community.
I want to see the video. Uh-oh, I'm in the danger zone.
Charlie downloaded the video.
No, you don't have to
you don't
have to share
online.
it. You don't have to share it. Just said download.
Charlie felt relieved and happy that people were liking the video and also sharing it.
You can watch the video. Nothing like controlling the narrative to make you seem like the bad guy.
Deep down, Charlie wasn't sure if this was the right thing to do, as some of the ideas in the video were extreme and violent.
I guess we're not telling us what the video was. I kind of was hoping I'd see what the video was.
It's important to remember that downloading or streaming certain content can lead to a terrorist offence conviction.
Downloading or streaming a terrorist offense. Just downloading a video. This is bad. I mean, I know they're trying to protect people from doing something that can lead to a... again, I'm not familiar with UK law. And there's jokes about, like, oh, you know, share the wrong video. The Rozzers are gonna come to your house and they're gonna arrest you for saying mean things towards women. like yeah, okay, we all need to be. I'm all for. I feel like I need to state this out of the gate. We all need to be nicer to each other, like overall. You know, we don't have to be assholes to each other, but like making it a law that downloading a video or watching a video can be considered a terroristic offense is obscene. The UK is off its rocker if that is true. I gotta look this up. Can watching a video in the UK be a crime? Watching a video online be a crime in the UK? I need to, like, as much as I'm dogging on the UK for their weird word ordering, I need to fix this. What the fuck keeps turning on vertical tabs? Firefox, how to turn on vertical sidebar, because I keep accidentally hitting that. Right click. I don't. I hate this shit. Control B. Stop. And it leaves the sidebar. I hate this. I want this stupid sidebar out of my fucking God, Firefox. I'll fix that later. Um, so anyway, I'm watching videos online can be. I mean, okay, obviously, on the most extreme ends, you could argue that child pornography in the U.S. Oh, it messes up that, so I won't do that. Child in the U.S. watching child pornography is a crime, but that's like the only example of that, and that's because it's literally child pornography. Extreme violence, though. I mean, this is AI. So let's find an actual answer, not a hallucinated nonsense that may or may not be right. I was talking to my cousin in Germany, and she said that recently she got fined 1,000 euros, 860 pounds, because a friend of her kid in a sleepover downloaded a movie. This is that's in Germany. For downloading piracy in the UK. No, no, that's piracy. Shut up. She just keeps going on Online Safety Act. Does the Online Safety Act doesn't have anything to do with I want to like come into this with the right understanding, but everything I'm getting is just about the Online Safety Act, which yeah is fucking ridiculous, but it isn't what I'm asking. The Does UK law like if I watch a beheading video, let's use that like an extreme video, but ultimately who the fuck cares? Like, okay, you want to go after the people who are exposing people to beheading videos? Sure. But streaming or downloading a beheading video shouldn't be illegal because honestly, I think more people that watch them are just like sickos that are like want to push themselves in their uh like oh, look at me, I can see a beheading video. But sharing them, okay. And even then, I don't think that should be illegal because it becomes a slippery slope. Well, it's violence, yeah, but fuck you. That's I'm all for protecting the public at the expense of some individual rights, but I'm lean more into the individual rights. I think that focus should be on the harder thing to do, which is not legislate the internet, which is I'm only on the first one. God damn it! Rather than legislate the internet, focus on telling people, hey, you need to fucking parent your fucking kids. But it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are? I give up finding that shit.
Charlie is receiving an important grade on a piece of work they submitted for their hospitality course at college.
Oh boy, a hospitality course, that's useful. Actually, hospitality is a pretty good field, but I would never go to college for it. Seems like a waste of
Charlie
money.
put in a lot of effort for this work and is excited to receive good
Maybe who knows?
feedback.
Maybe on
Charlie takes a seat in class and waits to get their grade. To their disappointment, Charlie doesn't do as well as they expect. They got 60 out of 100 for their work, but they wanted at least 75 out of 100.
Okay, you can want whatever you want. I mean, I assume 75 is a pass is what they need to pass. So it's not that they want, it's they kind of needed,
To
but
make matters worse, somebody else got 80 out of 100, and the teacher said that this person has received a job offer.
I don't know why they received the job offer, and why is the teacher telling the class that they received the job offer?
Charlie has applied to dozens
I
of
don't want
jobs,
people
but
telling.
hasn't had any luck yet.
Sounds like Charlie needs to get good.
Somebody else in the class tells Charlie that this is proof that immigrants are coming to the UK and taking our jobs.
Okay. Is she an immigrant? It sounds like ignore the comment and ask the course leader for feedback. I guess. I mean, I don't know. I do probably when I do courses, I do tend to just kind of like focus in on myself on how I can improve my work. Um, I don't think that anything anybody else can provide can really, because usually it's not an issue of me not knowing, it's me phoning it in. um, but yeah, I guess if you don't know, you should ask for feedback. The comment is stupid. Okay, buddy.
Charlie was still upset by the end of the lesson.
Yeah, it's immigrants.
They
Yeah.
couldn't get past the thought that their classmates had received a job offer, but they hadn't.
And it's not. And here's the thing. It's like the whole immigrants thing. It's like, well, it's a little more nuanced than that. And I don't. The UK also has a totally different landscape to the US, so it's really hard for me to talk about um, UK politics and immigration because I don't think I have enough. My understanding is there's a lot of people coming in illegally there too through tunnels in France. That's that's what I've heard, but that is based on one person's thing on the internet. And um, I remember I had a British friend who said I would never move to the U.S. I'd get shot, and I said, dude, I live within 30 minutes of one of the worst cities in America, and I don't get shot. You'll be fine. And he's like, no, I'd get shot. And I said, dude, okay, I'm not gonna move to the UK because I might get stabbed or hit by a truck. And they go, oh, that doesn't happen. I said, yeah, but the internet talks about it a lot. And he says, oh, well, this is different. Okay, man. But hey, we're still friends, me and this guy, more or less. I haven't talked to him in a while, but that didn't kill our friendship because, unlike most people today, it seems, I can be friends with people with dissenting opinions
Charlie
because life
spoke
is
with their
about
teacher after the
variety.
lesson, and they
It's
learned why
amazing
their
that,
grade had not been
yeah,
high and how to improve.
yeah, blah 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 blah. Okay, okay, okay. But so, one thing I've noticed is, in the world of tolerance and diversity is our strength, we've become really adverse to actual variety, specifically when it comes to opinions. Um, because you're either with us or against us. It's a cult at this point. It's no different than religious fundamentalism, just in a different direction, an atheist persuasion that, um, okay, you don't agree with us, you need to agree with us, or we can't be friends. That's not how you should live your life. I'm going to tell you right now. That's horrible. You're cutting yourself off from so much of society, and they do. They do. It's really sad. Um,
The teacher listened to Charlie's frustrations about not having any job offers yet and booked in a time to help with some new job applications.
there you go. I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of career. I don't want to say it doesn't help because I'm sure it helps somebody, but like I don't know, man. I just figured out how to make a good resume. It's not about highlighting your. Here's my belief, and maybe I'm wrong. Um, Admittedly, I haven't put in a ton of resumes out there. Um, I've never really had that much of a difficulty though getting a job, so I've never really had much of a look for a job at the one. I'm still in school, but like getting my internship, I kind of waited till the last minute, threw a couple resumes out there, got one back, and said, "Hey, we love you, have you?" I'm like, "Okay, that works for me because I'm running out of time." Completely of my own accord. That was my fault, but and I made the most of that. It was not exactly where I wanted to go, but I learned new things there, and I think that's the mentality you need to bring to a job. I'm a benefit, and wherever I end up, I can learn something. A genuine interest for knowledge and genuine like it's not about, well, look at me, I have this extracurricular or this job experience or this certification. Yes, get those certifications because they're a bare minimum. But you know what they say about the 36 pieces of flair, right? If you ever watch Office Space, what do people think about the bare minimum? Yeah, I know. Some people don't want to give more than the bare minimum. Um, but life conforming is a skill, and it's becoming a lost skill with a lot of people. Because we're being told, well, be different, and yeah, be different. But there are times when you have to learn to conform to an expected standard, and one of those things, very remarkably, is a job interview. So you can't be about the bare minimum if you're going into a job interview, if you're going for a job. And the best advice I ever got was from that actual exact my internship coordinator. They would do bi-monthly meetings, or sorry, bi-weekly meetings every other week. They would do meetings for all the interns, and most of them were social. It was a pure drug prevention and recovery place, and most of the people there were social worker majors going for master's programs, and I was like this one guy getting a public health bachelor's, and they're like, it felt kind of weird, but it was cool. There was one other, but they weren't in my meeting group. Um, but this internship uh, was actually really cool. I did a lot of work with grant writing by my own choice, and it was an interesting way to go for my degree. And the coordinator mentioned one of the advice you get that I think is very good because it provides a clear goal for somebody to focus on rather than just, oh, you need to apply for more. No, it's really simple. Five job if you have no job, specifically no job, and you're looking for a job, or you're looking for a job and you really want to focus in on a job rather than, even if you're working, but you need 5 applications a day minimum until you get your job. Full stop. Doesn't matter if you have something waiting, something ready. 5 resumes should be going out a day. A day. I say 5 resumes, 5 applications a day, 5 days a week. That is your job. It's not that hard to do. It takes an hour out of your time to tweak your resume for a job minimally and put it into an application. But it's so easy to just be like, I replied, I'm good. Let me go get a drink of water. Let me go game. No. 5 a day, do them. Wake up, take your shower, do your morning routine, sit down. If you're not working, 5 applications a day, and then go game. Then go relax. Go get a coffee. I don't care. It'll take you like an hour, maybe 2. Knock that out. That is 5 a day, 5 days a week. Every week, that's 25 jobs. Every month, that's 100 jobs you've applied for. You will get a job if you are doing. If you, I shouldn't say we will. That's a little too guaranteed. But if you're a good candidate and you're applying for the jobs you need, that you are fit for, you will get something. Like, I'm telling you, man. Even if it's nothing, because you got to have that mentality. You can't just be like, well, I applied to one. It's a hard number that you can work for. And if you're still not getting a job, something else needs to be tweaked. And it's not that hard of a goal to reach. Um, so that's my recommendation. Um, is to I really like that ballpark guide that guide I shouldn't say ballpark that guideline to shoot for, because it's an easy thing to do. Um, Focus on your soft skills. Focus on put have a little spot for my resume, and I can't show it to you because I don't want to dox myself, but I've got my schooling because I'm still really focused on school right now. I've got my certifications, I've got my previous experience, and like a third of my paper at the top is all like custom blurbs. Basically, it's not all organized. It's like an opening statement and then like a um I forget what they call it, but it basically is a custom written blurb about myself, and it is designed to highlight my adaptability to learn and fit within an environment that's needed, and then excel to a leadership position within that environment once I understand the foundationals. Not that I have to be a leader, but that I am versatile enough to do both. That I am a self reflective, introspective person, stuff like that. And oftentimes I'll tweak it based on stuff that the specific keywords that the application might might mention, because a lot of job applications are computerized in the first step, where they will sort through by keywords and then take the applications they want and toss everything they don't. Um, it's sad, but that's the game you play. So, a little bit of career counseling here, though I'm not by any means any kind of certified career
Charlie has
specialist,
been chilling out all
but
afternoon.
I do all right for myself. Oh boy, Charlie needs to get a
They have been
life.
scrolling on social media. They spot a video that seems to be getting a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie watches the video and learns from the video that Muslim men are stealing the places of British war veterans in emergency accommodation.
I mean, so let me break down my first thoughts here because I have a way that I feel does me good that doesn't shut out potentially things like this, but also understands to dismiss them. It's based off of like common sense, so to speak, as dumb as that sounds, as vague and generalized as that sounds. Um, and it's kind of based off what they tell you in school. Um, British war vets, and so this is obviously immediately I mean, we're not seeing the video, so this is probably meant to immediately um, spark outrage, and but you also have to be careful because I'll be honest, I think the UK has a serious problem. New York, let's use New York because I'm not from the UK and I can only speak of what I see on the internet on the UK. I don't, and you need that lived experience, I think, to properly gauge something, um, to make a real opinion. And I mean, I can state whatever I want. That's the beauty of living in America on the internet is I'm not arrested for saying the wrong thing. Stupid fucks. I don't know if that's true, but it sounds pretty possible, and that's scary. I don't like that they do that. I think that that shit needs to go. I don't care if somebody is spreading misinformation. That doesn't mean you arrest them because they might be an idiot. Being an idiot should be painful, but not illegal. At least not on its own. Um, but New York definitely has a problem where they're required by, I shouldn't say by law, it's by court case. And that's what makes it so tricky. They can't just turn over that law, it is a court precedent. That they have to house anybody essentially who asks. And it's probably a little more nuanced than that, but basically, they have to house you for 30 days. So what happens is they'll have homeless people come up, I need housing. They get 30 days, and then after 30 days, the next group of homeless people come in to that housing, and that homeless person is back out on the street. It is the stupidest system I think I've ever heard, and it burns New York's money trying it burns New York a shit ton of New York's money every year temporarily housing people in hotels that are um, not fully. I mean, okay, they're hotels, so it's like sure you could house locals, but that's not the problem. The problem is not, and the problem is also people being, who were being shipped up that were immigrants who had legally entered the country, and I don't care what anybody tells you. Illegal immigration is not a problem of race. It doesn't matter where you come from. All it matters is that you came here illegally. And there's a reason that immigration quotas exist and the legal process. It is to make sure that the people here illegally are who they say they are, number one. Number two, can get the proper social supports they need. And number three, that that we are not overloading our social supports. Um, And I think the other thing that people don't understand, yeah, I know a lot of people just overstay their visas, and I think that needs to be cracked down on as well. I think that the way we're cracking down on it is very reactionary, though, and it has resulted in bad hiring practices at ICE, and we've just swung the pendulum the other way. Am I glad that we're handling it? Yeah, to a certain extent, but I think it's just doing the cause harm. But I don't think that some people are ever going to accept that border control is one of the three foundational properties of a country and a government. Okay, every country has borders because other than it's not a country, it's just land. And that's unfortunately not, you can say, well, that's this beautiful utopia, but it doesn't, the world doesn't work like that. I digress though. So, border control is an important part, and it's not about race. It's not even about them stealing jobs because I can't say whether or not if you remove all the people. So I live in New Jersey. In South Jersey, we have this huge area of blueberries and cranberries, and they are often worked by by agricultural farmers that are probably mostly illegal immigrants that are paid less. And one of the problems I see is, and it's a really intertwined issue because people go, well, they can pay them less, so that's how you keep your affordable. But then, in the same breath, we don't want to exploit illegal immigrants. So there's this real catch-22 in this argument that, okay, you're arguing for the exploitation of people that don't have anything better options. Like, and yeah, sometimes you work with what you got, but like, you're gonna complain about minimum wage and then but be okay with immigrants that are illegally here with no other option. You are going to advocate, even it sounds like they're actively advocating for them to be paid like $5 an hour when minimum wage is 15. Like, do you see the problem there? You're exploiting these people. And but on the other end, my concern is, well, you get rid of these people that are working these fields. Cranberry prices, the price of, so labor is a huge cost in any production, in any company. Labor is a huge chunk of the cost. And what happens when you remove that labor, or up the chart? Everyone now has to be paid $15 an hour, and it's like, well, that's great because now, yeah, like can this business even survive? And honestly, this is probably exactly the same conversation that people had about slavery. Like, okay, well, my business model no longer works without slavery. Guess what? Life went on. It sucks. Probably some businesses will fold, but do we want to continue exploiting people? And I think the historical precedent is clear that as much as it hurts, rip the band-aid off, and don't exploit these people. Either, you know, I think most of them most of the need to be returned to proper country. It sucks. It really does. And I think at the same time, we need to prop up. Obviously, the bulk of people do come from Latin America. I am not going to ignore that fact just because, well, racism or whatever. Um, they come from Mexico, from Guatemala, from Venezuela at one point. And I think we do need to focus on bettering it. And I don't think that's solely why the operation on Venezuela happened. I think that comes down to a lot of Monroe Doctrine with
Charlie watches
oh,
the video.
okay. Um, it comes down to a lot of focus on Monroe Doctrine, which is more Cold War, but what I see is a world that is kind of returning to Cold War roots. And while we don't want to encourage that, we do need to prepare for it because it is not us pushing it, in my opinion. It is Russian military action. It is Chinese military action against Taiwan. Russia's attacks on Ukraine. We're pushing to more of an influence war again of globalization, and it's sad. It's very sad, but you can't just stick your head in the sand and hope everything will be okay. And I think shoring up the Western Hemisphere is an important part of the U.S.'s military strategy. And from what I've seen, that generally seems like Venezuelans like that. Now, Greenland, that's another story. But it seems like most of the Greenlanders just want to do their own thing and want to be left alone by both Denmark and the U.S. So, but I digress. But I think supporting these countries and making them better, working with Mexico, so that they're not reliant on that they can stand their own, that they can drive back a lot of the cartels and all these other countries. Working with them is an important part of making sure that there is not a need for illegal immigration, or at least not as much of a need as there's been in the past. So to me, it's a two-pronged attack. You need to send people back that are here illegally. I don't care if they've got families. It sucks. It really does. But that's the risk you run when you do something illegal. Oh, well, I got away with it. Cool. You got away with it until you don't. That's crime. And unfortunately, what you've committed is a crime. I don't care what you want to spin it. Overstaying your visa, hopping a physical fence, or swimming across the Rio Grande, it's a crime to enter this country illegally. That's the way it works. You can't just pick and choose what laws. Now, there is some wiggle room for, well, I don't agree with this law, so I'm going to, I don't want to say construct. I don't believe heavily in protesting. I mean, I think somebody needs to do it, but you'll never find me at a protest. Oh. You'll never find me at a protest because I think that only bad shit happens at protests. Certainly today, because nobody can keep their fucking hands from breaking shit. Um, I believe more in voicing my opinion. I think Martin Luther King had it right, really pushing for nonviolent, peaceful protests. And the problem is, people will say peaceful protest, and then my favorite was one I just saw about in New Mexico, and it was a very small protest. It was like 2 dozen people or whatever, 24 or 30 people, um, and they're yelling to the cops, and this is all on body cam, so it's beautiful. About how they're interfering a peaceful protest. And when the cops show up, they're all against the door, banging on the glass, and somebody damaged the glass. And it's like, okay, it's a peaceful protest, but you're damaging the building, okay? And you were told, hey, there's damage, you can't come here. And they still just, because they just repeat the word peaceful protest it's like watching those people that call themselves travelers rather than citizens. And it's like, you do realize that that word means fucking nothing, right? Without, like you can't just say it's a peaceful protest and bam, it's instantly peaceful. All right? That's not how the world works.
In the video, they explain that the government
Anyway.
is betraying white British people and we need to take back control of our country.
And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of this, like, and as much as I bash on one political side for this kind of shit, there is the other extreme, and I think we're slowly the pendulum swinging back into the other extreme, where yeah, you can argue that they're betraying, but it's not that simple. And the problem is the bulk of the population sits at the middle of the bell curve, and they will fall into these emotional traps pretty heavily. And I'm not, yeah.
Charlie wasn't sure whether they should
Right,
engage with
it's
the video.
stupid. I see this, and I see this shit, and I go,
They carried on scrolling,
this is why I don't scroll 90. Well, I shouldn't say that. I do, but
and to their surprise, the next
such
video
a
showed a
waste.
veteran and a dog moving into their new home that had been provided as a community initiative.
And that's. But here's my thing. That could just as easily be fake. And I wish there was a little more focus on, okay, I mean, I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Yeah. Treat streamers at suckmyballs.com. Um, but like, so how do you know which one's real? Honestly, I think the smart people, dare I say, people like me, people at least people are level-headed, go off their own observations of real life rather than what's online, because there's so many forces online. But granted, I can't make observations about the whole nation, but I can make observations about my area. And hell, I'm not that far from New York. I can kind of make observations in New York. But even then, when I talk about the revolving door of homeless people, um, that's based off of stuff I've seen online. I don't go to New York that often. I'm not heavily involved in New York politics. But there's plenty of facts out there about, like I'm combining online real lived experience with, well, the court precedent does definitely exist, because both sides will acknowledge that there's a court precedent that says, hey, they need to house people. Like, so we can't argue that, right? That definitely exists, and that's stupid, because you can't just force a city with no money. If they had zero money, how do they keep up with that precedent? And then you just fine them. It's like you're chasing your own tail. It doesn't solve anything, you know. That's just common sense. But somebody without common sense said, New York needs to do this, or a group of people without common sense, more likely. Um, and I'm all for housing the homeless. I'm all for social systems. I think that they're a great force that helps people. But, you know, when you're cutting literally every city service, and I can't even say what percentage of population that was, were illegals versus people who were living in New York and are citizens of the U.S. and citizens of New York City that were homeless in there. I'm sure it was a mix, but and I do agree. There's room to talk about Texas, and I don't know if New Mexico's doing it, but I know Texas is one of the big ones. That was like, send them up to New York. That doesn't solve anything. You're just. I think that. Well, because that was even during Joe Biden's administration, and I really wish he'd shut that shit down. Like, listen, that's part of being a federal government is when states feud like that, you need to step in and say, this shit don't fly. We're supposed to be together on all this. Now, I understand that Texas does not want them to be here as much as New York does. New York City wants to be a sanctuary for them, and I understand the sentiments of Texas, but you can't. It doesn't give you the right to just bury a city in a population that it, okay, yeah, well, Texas would be buried. Yeah, but Texas has a lot more space. And yeah, Texas, if I lived out and I had 12 acres and someone said, well, you have to lose some of that 12 acres for other people, I'd be pissed. So I understand Texas's point of view very well. And I don't think they should have been brought in. I mean, and people will argue, well, they weren't brought in. But then where are they coming from? And why is Texas bussing them up? That's my question. At some point, there was definitely a flow of people that were ending up in New York City. And it seems like nobody's arguing the Texas. See, this is the thought process you have to have in your head to understand these things. So, okay, yes, we've got one initiative and one, but we don't know how many initiatives are going towards British vets versus immigrants. And I think it's pretty clear that the people arguing on the first video, while they're trying to emotionally manipulate, and I think that's wrong, that's not how you should. You should make sure people are fully informed, are definitely believe that the government is not doing enough for British soldiers versus illegal immigrants. And
And
these are
to their
tough
surprise,
conversations to
the
have.
next video showed a
Yeah, I
veteran and a
They
dog
were
moving
also
into their
relieved
new
that they
home
didn't share
that
the
the
first
first
video
video
as a
as they learned that the
I do love
information
hearing
was not accurate.
But how do you know it's not accurate? How do you know which one's accurate at that point? They both sound like propaganda to me.
Charlie has been enjoying a family dinner at home when they receive a notification from their friend.
So, I mean, this whole video is less about informing yourself and more about just being complacent and trusting a different propaganda?
Charlie's mum makes a comment
And I
about
don't think
using
this
phones
is.
at the dinner table, but
It
Charlie
is
checks
city
in anyway.
councils. Put your phone down, Charlie.
Amelia, Charlie's close friend, has
Charlie.
made a video encouraging young people in Bridlington to join a political group that seeks to defend English rights. Amelia encourages Charlie to join a secret group on an app Charlie hasn't heard of before. Charlie isn't sure whether to join, explore further, or ignore.
Oh, that is a beautiful link. I love that. Is this his? I forget. Is this his friend or is this his sister? I mean, this is my sister, man. Like, you can't just ignore her. Oh, this is a friend. Yeah, no, I don't join dumbass
Charlie didn't
groups,
feel
honestly.
comfortable with joining a secret group or encouraging people to join a political group. They felt it was down to the individual to decide for themselves.
I hate that so much. I hate that statement. I agree. It's down to the individual to make their own individual thoughts rather than be a part of some hive mind. But the problem is, like, that doesn't mean you can't join a political initiative. Like, this is an extremely two-faced presentation, we're going to call it. It's called a presentation because this is not a game. This is a presentation. This is something you have to do to keep your CEUs up at work. You know, like this is the shit you throw in the background while you're watching a movie and just click throw. Um, don't do that. That's not how you should handle that. You should actually pay attention to your CEUs. Shit does get updated. Um, but uh, but like this is very two-faced because okay, on one hand, you shouldn't trust this video, but the next video says the exact opposite, and you should just blatantly trust that video and believe the first one wasn't true. Do you have the like attention span of a snail? And then here it's like, well, you have to have your own individual. But I guarantee you, you know, rather than joining this political group, and it's not even like you shouldn't join. It's just two-faced. Well, you know, it should be down to individual, but you should individually decide to believe the government.
They carried on with the
And
family
that's just
dinner and
wrong.
went
It's
to
not even
bed
about
early,
government
knowing
or
college was coming up the next day.
you know, or anti-government. It's not even about government versus. I guess in the other one they have you stay up all night, you miss school because you got so involved in arguing politics with weirdos online. But it's not about government versus anti-government. It's like I should just implicitly trust. Um, there's yeah, and love everything that my government does. And let's take it out of the context of the UK and let's look at the US because I don't like what the UK does. But I live in the US and I love the US. I don't want to live in the UK. I don't want to live in Zanzibar. I don't live. I love where I live. And there's stuff that the U.S. government does that I don't do. I don't want to even go to Canada because, you know, fuck me, we're going to destroy M1 Garands because it's a dangerous weapon. It's a 5-round clip. It's not even magazine. It's a clip. It's actually a clip. I mean, fuck, why don't we just ban revolvers because you can hold more than one shot at a time? Don't do that. Please don't do that. But that's my point. It's like, hell, they don't jam, so there's no like possibility. Like this is the level of mentality. At what point does it end? Why is an M1? It's a weapon that was used in World War One, I believe. I know it was used in World War Two, and it's like, and people are destroying. I read one story, and maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But the possibility is there. That's for sure. Um, of an individual. And here I go, falling for the propaganda again. But listen to this, right? Guy has his grandfather's M1. That's a treasure. It was through the war. I'm pretty sure it was through both wars, and that's why I have to. Again, this has been a bit, so I forget the details, but I know it was his grandfather's M1, and it had been in a war. It was used to fight in a war, and it made it home. And it was like that's like a prized possession, man. You don't get rid of that, even if you don't like guns. Like that's insane. And he has to either disable it or get rid of it. That's a crime, man. Like I wouldn't even fire that thing again, but I wouldn't disable it just because you're destroying a historic artifact. That's like telling me, well, my car, I have a 71 Nova, and that's like telling me, well, I have to disable it so I can't drive it on the road because it's not safe by modern standards. You're destroying a piece of history. It's the same, all right? The difference is they would never say that because, well, you know, cars don't kill people, but guns do. Never mind. I gotta look this up actually. Do cars kill more people than guns? I know it's a dumb way, but I'm just. Um, I should know this as a public health major. I'm sorry about this. Okay, so it has shifted in more, but yeah, motor vehicle accidents are down. So going as far back as '99. Um, let's pull this up real quick.
They carried on with the family dinner and went to bed early,
Yeah.
knowing college
All
was
right, we're gonna pull
coming
this
up the
up because
next
this is
day.
from. Actually, I don't know what is Everytown. This is for gun safety. Yeah, I want to find a more neutral. I want to find a more neutral. See, Violence Policy Center. It sounds like a they actually sound yeah, this seems like a more so I'm gonna pull both up because this is a really good so Violence Policy Center definitely seems more pro gun control, right? And every town definitely, I mean, hell, the name every town sounds kind of untrustworthy, but they more or less pull up the same thing. If anything, the only thing I'd say every town is guilty of is uh, they only go back to 2003 because they want to show this trend where every town wants to be like, oh, look, see, look how long, and then oh, it's just recently. Um, there has been a rise in so people maybe every town is I think these are both actually pro gun control. Damn. Yeah, because that's not something that a gun supporting site would say. So shame on me for assuming. Well, this is a really interesting graph, right? Um, we've made great strides over the past since the 21st century on motor vehicle accidents, which is amazing. And we're just now hitting this point where combined with the increase in gun violence more recently, and I think it's a lot of monkey see, monkey do. These school shootings are from people who I think a lot of it is people see school shootings and they seek to mimic them because they get their 15 minutes of fame. And I mean, the easy thing to say would be muzzle the press, tell them they can't talk about it, but that's horrible. We can't do that. That's not freedom adjacent. It's freedom perpendicular. So, but it is something to note that for a long ass time, motor vehicle accidents were a lot higher. Um, and there we go. But so my thing is, that's like saying that I have to disable my car because my car does not crumple and would kill me, or uh, my car does not have because my car and this car you need to know how to drive it. It's not like today's vehicles. There's no brake booster. It's drum brakes. It does not stop quickly. It also skids. If you just slam on the brakes, you will skid because there's no ABS. It is something you have to understand to drive, just like a firearm. You need to understand safe operation of it. Um, and I'm not the biggest like gun nut. I'm not I think they're kind of cool, and I would love to. I love the idea of being like, yeah, I'd like to own an M60 just because it's a big gun with big boom, But like I'm not a gun nut. I don't think, I don't own a shit ton of firearms. Um, I'm not a. I won't brag about my firearms. I won't tell you what kind of firearms. I think that that's a safety hazard. Frankly, if you tell people what firearms you have, that's like telling people what your alarm system is. You should not be doing that. You should not be flashing your guns online. I think that's uncouth. I think that does the gun community bad, but I understand people's also willingness to share their firearms. But I think just posting pictures on like Instagram, outside of just gun circles of your firearms, and even posting them on, I would never post pictures of all my firearms together or anything. Like that's insane. Like, look, this is what I have, and it's like, okay, cool. What is somebody gonna do with that information? But like, it's just you just don't do it. It's just a bad idea. Um, there's certain things you just don't do. It's like cell phones at the dinner table, but I do that. So anyway, um, so I'm not the biggest gun nut, but I do believe in people's right to own a firearm. I mean, if you can become licensed to be a medical professional, to be a medical provider, okay, you can be a healthcare provider. I am licensed. I shouldn't say I am. I am not licensed. Um, but if you can if someone can spend time to be a doctor, right? They're dealing with people's lives in various capacities, but the point is they have been trusted to do the right thing and care for people regardless of their personal bias. Why can't we trust people to do firearms, and it doesn't need to be as intensive as doctor training. I feel like I need to state that very clearly. Like you're not you don't need to learn all this shit. You just need to know that someone is a law-abiding citizen, and like okay, we trust that if you haven't committed a felony yet, you're not going to commit a felony. Guilty and innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around. Um, but if you become a felon, that's it. You probably will have your MD stripped. You not necessarily the MD, but the license to practice. Like you will be heavily under review if you commit a felony. Nursing, you can't get a nursing license if you have a felony, and if you get one while you have your nursing license, you can have your license revoked. You can definitely not be hired anywhere because you have a felony. That's true for basically any job. There's a lot of problems, and the felony's easier to get than some people may think. You run from the police, that's a felony. Now, if they charge you with it or if you can get it talked down, that's another story. But running from the police is a felony. Um, if you go limp fish on them while they're trying to cuff you, that's a felony. That's resisting. That's a felony. And this is not law advice. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but I've seen enough body cam footage to know that those are felonies. And that's as easy. Now, I'm sure if it's something that low, you might be able to talk it down and get you right out of a felony, depending on the circumstances. But, like, but it's really easy to not end up in that. If a police cop is cuffing, number one rule, if you're being cuffed, or if a cop is with you, don't argue on the side of the road. Just say, okay, officer, and then don't answer any questions. If you think you've been wronged, don't answer any questions. Get a lawyer, get a public defender, do something. Don't argue on the side of the road, but don't give them ammunition. But don't stop. Don't not comply. Like, that's the other extreme I see. Well, I don't have to give you your ID. Yes, you do, because you've been stopped in a traffic stop, so you have to present ID and registration and proof of insurance. That's how it works, at least in the state of New Jersey. And it's really easy. But in the same breath, remember that you catch more flies with honey than vinegar. They're humans. They're not robots. They're not animals. They're just other people that, by and large, most of them want to make the world safer, even if you don't necessarily agree with how they're doing it. But see, this is where people lock themselves out by just writing off a side of the society. They lock themselves out of crucial parts of the human experience because they think that they're right, and thus
Charlie was looking forward to talking about the video their friend made, but seeing their friend that morning didn't go as planned.
But yeah, so when you are open to new experiences, you start to learn how to deal with people better.
When morning came, Charlie was ignored by their friend for ignoring her purse the day before and not having strong enough beliefs to associate with them anymore.
Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo-hoo. Uh-oh.
Charlie was seeing their dad at the weekend. He lives in Hull, so their weekends look very different to their weekdays in East Riding. Charlie's friend Amelia immediately looked interested and told them about a protest
she wished. Going to protest.
Amelia spoke of a gathering that had been organised by a small political group. They would come together and protest the changes that Britain has been through in the last few years and the erosion of British values.
Generally, like, the lowest common denominator. I hate to say that, but on both sides of the political spectrum, they're usually the people that are the most emotionally driven and know the least about a decision. Because honestly, I think anyone with intelligence knows that, like, protesting really doesn't do all that much. I think it's a vital part because it does show that there is some support and it provides some pressure. But the problem is, I feel like there's just the risk of getting arrested because somebody does something stupid in your vicinity and you just end up caught up in it, or getting punched. It's just not worth the effort to me. And I know some people would say, well, that's what they want you to do. And it's like, yeah, but you know what they really don't want you to do? Learn to game the system as it is and just profit, Like, if you learn the system as it is rather than try to change everything, you'd be surprised that, oh my God, you can become one of the rich people too.
Amelia talked about the banners and the pickets that her friends had made for the events and expressed a real regret that she could not go, begging Charlie to go in her place.
I need to make sure this isn't too loud. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm not going to a
Charlie has
protest.
nothing to
I'm
do
not going
this
to a
weekend,
protest.
and a protest sounded like an interesting thing to take part
It
in.
does not sound interesting at all. It sounds like an easy way to get punched. I hate protest. I think that no, I don't feel like going.
Charlie didn't feel comfortable with going to the protest. It sounded risky, and they were meant to be there to see their dad.
Yeah, no, dad does not.
Charlie was really upset when Amelia told them they couldn't be friends anymore. They didn't share the same values.
You mean I don't want to get punched by some random tard? Like, you know, I'm supposed to be like, listen.
Charlie began walking home. Charlie's phone started. It was their dad, and they were. Suddenly, Charlie was reassured about their decision.
I mean,
Charlie thought about all the
oh my
difficult
god.
choices they had needed to make in the last. Some of their choices had led to changes in friendship, and Charlie was feeling low, as they weren't sure if they had made the right
There's
decisions.
Charlie isolated in class.
The teacher had noticed this. The teacher sat with them and talked openly and frankly. The teacher reassured that Charlie had made the right decisions. Charlie realised that if they had
As he
chosen to
sits
engage with these
alone.
harmful ideas, the consequences would. Charlie accepted they may need. Charlie's teacher made a prevent referral, and they were able to provide tailored support
A
for
what? Is
Charlie.
this some British thing I
They
don't
began a
know?
workshop that helped them learn how to engage positively with ideology and
Ah,
the
yes.
differences
The
between
end
right
result
and
is
wrong
you
in
come to
expressing
us and use
political
our
beliefs.
additional training materials.
Charlie received counselling to help them process the other events in their life, and they felt much.
Congratulations on completing all the scenarios. So, let's talk about this. Because, I mean, again, do I get to print out a special, like, flyer like you used to be able to? And I mean, okay. So, I just look at it as East Riding and Hull. Interesting. And then, I'm not sure what shout out UK is, but it seems like a political. But here's the thing, right? This whole thing has been very I mean, literally at the end of it, Charlie is completely alone. So it's like that's actually a really good, without even trying, they made a really good example of how you end up when you just lock yourself into an ideological dogma, right? It's your whole personality is about politics, and it's not. I don't know. In the same breath, I do kind of agree. Like, I have a friend online who is Egyptian. Being a little vulnerable here, he believes in Palestine. Respect to him, and I understand where he comes from. I don't believe in Palestine. I think Israel, for all of the controversy, is a foothold of American interest in the Middle East, and I think that is a valuable asset to have. As an American, I want my beliefs projected outward and footholds for us to exist. I don't think we should impose those beliefs on other countries, but that means that we, as a focus on global military power, having a space where we can have our stuff there, that is big, right? And I understand that's a controversial point of view to take, that that's colonialism, but you know what, that's the reality we live in, that the world is driven by those who have power, and I'd rather live in a country that benefits from power than be bitching about how I can't do shit, my life is shit, living under a country that doesn't have that kind of global force. Like, and I love Brazilian people, I love Brazil, but like, great example is Brazil, because that's a big country, they have a lot of money, but like, think of how the people there live, right? I want this gaming computer. I'm spending 3 times as much after the exchange rate just because of tariffs and shit. Like, I don't want to. that's ridiculous. That's insane. That's and it's not as simple as, well, they don't have the power, so they don't. But on a surface level, it is, right. If America isn't projecting, if you, in this global economy, if you're not the superpower, you're not living to the same standard that I would be living now. And I think people need to realize that um, there is a certain level of requirement to do stuff like that. That is why we take action in Venezuela, and we do our best. It's the old adage from the airplane: put your own mask on, then put the person's mask next to you. That is how you have to live life, right? That is not a bad way to live. You don't help people in spite of yourself. You elevate yourself and then bring people around you up. That is how it works. But there's always going to be people that you can't reach, and it's sad. But to me, that's my viewpoint. But that's a very American viewpoint. He's got a very Egyptian viewpoint where, well, all these Palestinians come to my country, and Palestinian's a Muslim country, and he's not even really a big. I mean, he's Muslim, but he's not a very religious guy. Like, he doesn't believe that Muslim should be the default religion or anything like that. He's just. But growing up in Egypt, he naturally is going to gravitate, and I can respect that, and we respect each other's differences. And we'll still argue about it, but like, we're still friends, and that's the thing. I can be friends with people that don't fully agree with me, and I think more people need to be able to do that. Because it doesn't. Every so often you find a viewpoint that you may not have agreed with, but you start to understand why they feel that viewpoint, and you enrich yourself for it. That is diversity as our strength, right? That is what they should be talking about. That is diversity as a strength. Growing from the experiences of other people, not just kowtailing to them, not bowing down to people because, well, their culture is just as relevant as mine. Yeah, it is, but you came here, so you obviously like the U.S. So why are you not on some level assimilating? You don't have to fully assimilate, but why are you there are people, I've met them. Usually they're Indian, I'll be honest. I have an Indian friend who is not of this, but they 100% agree with me. Like, yeah, I've seen this in Indian friends of mine where the parents and the kids will come here. For some reason, they'll come here. They want to live here, but then they complain about how India was so much better. So why are you here? I just don't get it. And hey, listen, that's on you. You complain, whatever, who cares? But it's that mentality that I don't get. Oh, well, India's better. So why did you come here? You know? And I mean that as an open-ended question. I would love for people to answer that because I genuinely don't understand why you would have that dichotomy. But it's something that they grew up in. It's just the mentality. It's like my friend from Egypt. He grew up in Egypt, so he's buried in that, and I'm buried in my American mentality. I'm not above it, but I try to recognize it as much as possible so that I am not. What's the word I'm looking for? So I'm not. I don't. There's always going to be some level of hypocrisy. As a kid, I wanted to not be a hypocrite at all, and I realize it's really not possible. You will always be on some level a hypocrite. It's just a matter of what you do with that knowledge. And I try to help as many people as I can. But myself, I always come first because I only got one life to live, and I want to enjoy it. And I feel like they really illustrated the issue with opposing that idea of, well, I'm not going to become, coming up with this idea that I'm not going to be friends with people that I don't agree with, because you can just as easily just kind of nod your head along and you know call it a day. Like you don't have to agree with people, or you can just kind of like lightly seem like you agree with people and then not engage further. Sometimes you just placate people because you know is you want to it's not worth endangering the friendship, and you may not hang out as much as them as people that you agree with more, but that's life. You don't always agree with everybody, and that's fine. But this wants you to say, well, you know, you need to agree with this particular viewpoint, but yet everyone should tailor their agreements to what you said. So I was actually surprised how much I kind of ended up by other means agreeing to a lot of what they said. Like, yeah, well, yeah, they want you to go to a protest. Yeah, but I'm not going to a protest. That's stupid. That's genuinely stupid. I'm not going to a protest. I don't believe in going to a protest. I don't want to, and even as a sideline viewer, because like I I have very little respect for modern journalism at this point. Like even war journalism. Like, okay, well, I'm here in the trenches, and it's like, yeah, but I don't know. I guess if nobody did it, we'd all be in the dark. So on some level, I respect it. But journalism has become say the right thing or else at this point. Even though it's not government imposed, it's culturally imposed. So it's not really any different if the government told you what to say, and it's really sad. And granted, it's not just one thing. It's like um, a great example of it is Fox and CNN. Two sides of the same coin. Two sides of the exact same coin. I can't stand to watch any of these news channels because CNN, it's Trump did this, Trump did that, Trump did this, Trump did that. Fox, it's maybe not Trump. Well, sometimes it'll be about Trump, but it's in a positive light, of course. It's the exact opposite, but it's the same amount of just groupthink. Oh my god. And I don't know, man. I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I feel like sometimes I'm in the middle of it all. Not smart enough to make it to truly like profit the shit out of it and really enjoy life, but also not dumb enough to just be blissfully happy with what I'm doing, you know. I'm just right there in the middle. I think I actually did take an IQ test for at the end of high school, which is probably the best time. You have to know because IQ test has a lot of cursory, but I think it's also based on where a lot of it was like recent math shit that I had done too, like algebra two, some algebra two shit. So it was really interesting. Um, but I believe I scored like a 136, and this was in like my junior year of high school, maybe senior year. Because I had to do it in order to get my accommodations when I was going to college. So yeah, it would have been senior year. So I had to have an up to date psych eval for my to every for 3 years to get my accommodations when I went to college. And part of that psych evals, they wanted me to do another IQ test for whatever reason. And I don't know if I ever took one before, but I remember sitting down at my actual high school because I went to a private school, but my district high school, and they did an IQ test, and I'm pretty sure I scored like 136 or so that's fairly good, I guess. It's not really genius level, but it's a nice spot on the bell curve. I'm happy with it. I'm happy where I am mostly intelligence wise. I just kind of wish, with intelligence sometimes comes pain, honestly. Like sometimes I do wish I could just not shut my brain off, and I can. That's the beauty. But like I wish I could just be happy with and just so devoted in my stupidity that I'm just able to accept that I am right and know everybody else is wrong because I feel like that is on some level a really nice thing. Like just blissfully unaware of just being wrong. But who cares because I'm happy with my decision and so be it. And I don't know. Like I said, that's a very selfish way to look at the world because then I'm not helping the world, but I don't know. I don't want to help the world. I want to help a few people around me, but I don't want to. I don't know. Like this is the kind of shit. I'm not a big picture guy. I'm troubleshoot individuals. So like I'm not here to make like sweeping changes in the world. I'm here to help the world by helping a few people around me and the people I come in contact with. That's what I can do. Case by case. I'm a troubleshooter. I'm not a big picture guy. So maybe some people who are big picture people will disagree with me, but I don't know. I see all this shit and I go, I'd rather just benefit myself and help a few people that are worth helping along the way. People that like even just patients. Like people I come in contact with professionally. It's like okay, I can at least help them. But like I don't know. Leave somebody else to fix shit because I'm not the mind for it. I can just tell you you're wrong, but I really can't provide solutions. So that was our interesting journey down the rabbit hole of um, the UK's shitty presentation. It's not even UK. It's shout out UK or whatever, some political organization. Their shitty discussion of what of how you should handle extremism. 0 out of 10. No talk about actual net safety. It's just opinion garbage. Uh, remember, um, don't believe in propaganda unless it's the right propaganda. And till next time, you stay classy, UK internet. Oi, here come the Rozzers!